Let's get more on this now with Francesco Rizzuto, Professor of European Law at Liverpool John Moores University. Welcome back to the programme, Professor. Now, critics are calling this proposal a Swiss Brexit. If voters choose to cap the population this weekend, what could the economic impact be for Switzerland?
Good morning. I think the economic impact on Switzerland in the long term would be quite disastrous. In the short term, of course, we haven't reached 9.5 million, which is the crucial point, really, when the federal authorities would have to take action. For example, safeguard clauses and exemptions from Switzerland's current agreements with the European Union, because, of course, many of the people that are going into Switzerland are from the European Union. So nothing too drastic too soon.
And like much of Europe, Switzerland has a rapidly aging population. If they shut the door on young incoming workers, who's going to fund the country's pensions and healthcare in the future?
Well, the Swiss certainly can't. No, it's a nonsense. Swiss wealth and economic success has been built to a great extent on the immigration over the last 30 or 40 years, from Italy in particular, i.e. Southern Europe, but also from other parts of Europe. Because of the Balkan Wars, for example, there were influxes of population there, not to mention Turkey as well. So this idea that somehow the Swiss economic model, if you like, will continue in terms of its benefits for its citizens without demographic development, if you like, revitalization that immigration brings, then that model will almost freeze. But it will freeze and then gradually decline.
Yes, and nearly 40% of all companies in Switzerland were founded by foreigners. If this proposal passes, is Switzerland essentially pulling the plug on the very entrepreneurial spark that made it rich in the first place?
I think without a doubt. I know Switzerland very well. My sister actually lives there, to let your viewers know. So I'm quite familiar with the place. I think it would be a disaster. The beauty of Switzerland is its diversity and its capacity to actually capitalize on the know-how and the spirit of the people that have gone into Switzerland. If that was to stop, it would be a disaster. But by the way, it would also be a disaster for Switzerland if it suddenly burnt its bridges with the European Union. In the event the population exceeded 10 million by 2050. So we will see what the result is. But apparently it's quite close. It will be close, but we shall see. But I don't expect, in all honesty, things to dramatically change over the coming years. Remember, there was a referendum in Switzerland a few years ago that was that many people thought would be a disaster in terms of people going into Switzerland from the European Union. And actually, the federal government didn't do a thing. And it still hasn't, in a sense, legislated to put the result of that particular referendum into effect. So I wouldn't get too panicky. However, it would be a terrible political signal from my point of view if the Swiss suddenly voted to freeze Switzerland back in the 1950s.
Now, no modern wealthy economy has ever tried to put an absolute ceiling on its population. Could this trigger a domino effect across Europe where other countries try to set their own limits?
Well, I hope not. That's absolutely clear, but that's a personal view, though I think it's shared by many, many people. But remember, Europe, Western Europe, is going through significant traumas with regards to the supposedly negative impacts of immigration. We've seen what happened in Belfast over the last couple of days. We have seen what's been happening in the United Kingdom. We see the rise of the far right in Germany. So there is a danger that if the Swiss do this, it will somehow legitimate some of the prejudices held by parties of the far right who are clearly anti-foreign. And that's all they care about. It's a route to power. The consequences of that, well, they'll worry about that once they've got power. And really, this is a shortcut to it by basically feeding the fears of people rather than providing a narrative that actually accommodates the importance of diversity, change, and demographic growth and development.
Professor Francesco Rizzuto, great to speak to you. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure. Good morning.